to that kid who is, a sophomore at ASU or, a junior at Georgetown, like what should they be doing right now to kind of make sure that when graduation day comes, they're ready to jump right into something new instead of like getting to the end and then it's like, all right, now what?
Yeah. I think looking back on college, and one of the things that I always really try to emphasize on was, like you're gonna get so many opportunities being in like those college athletic fields. And so every time you do a video, a shoot, or whatever, you always try to make it better than your last. And I think that's really helped me as I move forward. But I just remember being in college, being like, hey, like I did this sort of effect in this sort of video. Like, how do I do this effect that I just saw like on Instagram, Twitter, and do it like in the next video I made? And I just think that like really helps set you up for when you go into the professional field because especially now, like there's so many young talented kids out there, like for real. Like the talent is unreal. And so I just think like, yeah, just having that mindset of like, hey, like I did this in this last video, like I know how to do this now. Like, how do I build upon like this next video that I do? And I just think that's a really good way to really set yourself up in the future. And then if you want to talk about it in like technical ways, like having a reel, like having a minute 30 reel, to show people that when you're applying for those jobs, like that definitely helps. And things like that. So like for me personally, like I've been blessed. I've never really had to apply for a job, I guess you could say. A lot of it has just been like looking at reels and looking at work products and things like that. Um, so yeah, just building upon those pieces that you make and then just making a reel. Like I think you'll be set up for success in the future. And then I guess one thing I don't want to leave out is asking people who you really respect and really admire for advice. Like still to this day, like Sean Deloney, like we talk about him, like that's my guy. And I'll still go back to him and ask him like, hey, what do you think about this? Because he's the goat. So like for me, it's just like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think I can do better? And Sean's so funny because he's so humble, but like he'll just be like he'll show me like different things and be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So it's still good, like to this day, just like having those people that you really respect and really admire their work to give you like that sort of feedback. And being in Brooklyn, like I've met a ton of people here that have really helped me with that too. I guess I feel like I'm shouting out so many people, but like for real, like I wouldn't be here without like the people that I have in my corner, like Tony J, who's a DP that I've met, like being out here, like he's been so great with just helping me like learn the technical side of things, but also being like showing me the process of how like these things really work. And so yeah, just like having those people as well to really help you, I guess, give you feedback on certain things.
For sure. And I mean, that's kind of the point of this whole thing is like I wouldn't be where I am today without the people that I've connected with who are so kind to like, whether it was an email or like a LinkedIn message of just like, hey, can you talk? Like, I'd love to pick your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 99.9% of the time, everyone's like, yeah, of course. Like, let's talk. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned so much over the years. And I mean, I'm still, still this day reaching out to people and asking them their advice and how they do what they do. And because, like you said, man, like there are so many talented people, whether they're 16 or 50, it's like this industry is in such a good place. And, it's such a big, vast, crazy world, but it's also kind of small. Like anyone, that I've reached out to about even for this podcast, it's like, you and I don't know each other all that well, like been a fan of yours for a long time, but it's like, it's something as simple as just like, yeah, man, I'll jump on. And so like, I guess long story short is just like, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to try and make those connections. Like if for some reason they don't respond, like what did it cost you? Like 10 minutes of your day to send a message? Like just it's so important to not only network for job perspective, but just learning, man. Like you can see, like you said, Sean Deloney, like got like I was blessed to work with him with the Cardinals, but it was like I remember when when I first got to Phoenix, even before I got to Phoenix, like I was a huge fan of his work and what he
Mm-hmm.
did. And so when we started talking and someone was like, oh yeah, like this is the guy I want to hire, I was like, yes, please, let's do that. But it's
Yeah,
like, but
yeah,
even just talking to him and learning from him, and it's like, I've done some video production and stuff in my past, like, but I can't do any of the stuff that you do that he does. So like just even sitting with him and seeing his process and seeing how he edits stuff or how he even shoots stuff and sees like from the angles and that side of stuff. It's just like don't be afraid to, go outside of your comfort zone and ask for help or ask for just, 10 minutes of someone's day to see what they're all about.
yeah, totally. Like I said, like I've said this so many times, like I want to be here without the people that I've really leaned on in my career. So just like having those people um like has been huge for me, and like it'll be huge for me as I continue in my career.